obstacles, he decided to search for another country where he could fulfill his hopes and dreams. He searched for individual salvation after the collective dream proved unattainable. There, in his substitute homeland, his story of innovation and creativity begins. Meanwhile, our larger Arab region remains in a state of retrogression until it finds the best approach for social development that places the human being at its core. Ladies and gentlemen, much is said about development, but we often refrain from closely examining its true elements. Its most prominent pillar is human beings themselves, who make up the heart of development and its ultimate purpose. If we consider human beings our most valuable capital, then education remains the most enduring form of capital investment. It is the spring from which the streams of progress flow and the foundation upon which the pillars of sustainable development can be erected. Education is not merely one component that makes up the sectors of society. It is the sum of all sectors, for there can be no economy, politics, healthcare, culture, or even a sustainable ecosystem without education. And if we fail to advance education with innovative, sustainable solutions that align with the accelerating technological advances of our world, then no development project, be it economic, cultural, or social, will succeed, and we will remain trapped in the cycle of failure, regression, and powerlessness, and we will lose our footing in the landscape of development. While we bet on investments in education, we can better shape a future for humanity. Conversely, when we fail to recognize the importance of education and investing in it, we lose our compass, drifting away from progress. I am firmly convinced that success in achieving sustainable development is not only reserved for those with more abundant resources, but for those who possess the wisdom to invest and manage such resources effectively. This is the vision that drove us in Qatar to establish a path of development that places young people in their rightful role as shapers of the future, learners, innovators, entrepreneurs, and citizens engaged in decision-making. This inspiring vision has led to remarkable achievements, successfully utilizing natural resources in Qatar, empowering its human capital, and generating meaningful job opportunities that replace traditional job duplication. With a deep-rooted belief that the Sustainable Development Goals are interconnected, Qatar has exerted every effort to instill the foundations of peace and the pillars of diplomacy as the cornerstones of its social development goals. Ladies and gentlemen, there is another story. A story of a child robbed by an occupier of her most treasured possession, the closest to her heart, her pen. To her, that pen represented the key to her future and her little weapon against injustice and dispossession. Her pen was stolen, but her dream was not, and hope remained ablaze and glowing in her young heart. She gathered the ashes from the rubble that surrounds her and fashioned herself a pen and erected a tent from tattered fabric to create for herself and her friends a school that teaches them that letters are undefeated and that learning can happen amidst the rubble, in affirmation that life and resistance cannot be erased. And when a ceasefire was announced in Gaza, that child and her friends were among the first of children who raced clutching their pens and tattered papers towards makeshift exam halls, despite the fact that over 90% of Gaza's schools were completely destroyed or rendered unfit. These children inherently recognized that education is not a luxury, but a necessity for survival, and a lifeline to a safe harbor away from fear, ignorance, aimlessness, and attempts to eradicate them. Education is the core pillar for development. There can be no development without knowledge, and no renaissance